Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, there's a reason that President Trump has earned the reputation of being one of the most effective foreign policy presidents in modern American history. The president clearly understands power, leverage, and most importantly, restraint. And now that we have the situation with Iran, clearly things are ramping up in the Middle East once again. And all of a sudden, it's as if people completely forgot his track record. And there's all kinds of people pointing the finger at the president, claiming he's now being a warmonger. And for me personally, I feel like a lot of the criticism is missing the mark. And honestly, it feels like we're once again in one of those situations where the media and the president's detractors are saying all of these things, making all of these doom and gloom predictions. But eventually, I think time will tell, and the president's performance and the results that he will achieve, I think as per usual, will end up shutting everybody up. There's all this talk as if Trump is now getting us into a war. He said he was going to be a president for peace, but now he's walking us straight into World War III. I mean, how many times have we heard that? I'm sure it's a great headline if you're trying to generate clicks online, but based on my perception, it seems the truth is that President Trump isn't looking for war, he's looking to end one. He's looking to take decisive action, flex American might, power, and leverage in order to achieve long-term sustainable results rather than pursuing the unsustainable efforts of regime change and endless war. And so there seems to be a little bit of conflict between the posts that we're seeing on social media and what the president is actually doing. And actually, Vice President J.D. Vance made a post addressing this. I want to read it to you guys, and then of course give my 2 cents, chime in as I usually do. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So here's what J.D. Vance said. This is a post from the Vice President's official X account. He says, look, I'm seeing this from the inside and am admittedly biased towards our president and my friend, but there's a lot of crazy stuff on social media, so I wanted to address some things directly on the Iran issue. First, POTUS has been amazingly consistent over 10 years that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Over the last few months, he encouraged his foreign policy team to reach a deal with the Iranians to accomplish this goal. The president has made it clear that Iran cannot have uranium enrichment, and he has said repeatedly that this would happen one of two ways, the easy way or the other way. Second, I've seen a lot of confusion over the issue of civilian nuclear power and uranium enrichment. These are distinct issues. Iran could have civilian nuclear power without enrichment, but Iran rejected that. Meanwhile, they've enriched uranium far above the level necessary for civilian purpose. They've been found in violation of their non-proliferation obligations by the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, which is hardly a right-wing organization. It's one thing to want civilian nuclear energy, and it's another thing to demand sophisticated enrichment capacity. And it's still another to cling to enrichment while simultaneously violating basic non-proliferation obligations and enriching right to the point of weapons-grade uranium. I have yet to see a single good argument for why Iran needed to enrich uranium well above the threshold for civilian use. I've yet to see a single good argument for why Iran was justified in violating its non-proliferation obligations. I've yet to see a single good pushback against the IAEA's findings. Meanwhile, the president has shown remarkable restraint in keeping our military's focus on protecting our troops and protecting our citizens. He may decide that he needs to take further action to end Iranian enrichment. I guess Iranian uranium enrichment. A little bit of a tongue twister. That decision ultimately belongs to the president, and of course people are right to be worried about foreign entanglement after the last 25 years of idiotic foreign policy. But I believe the president has earned some trust on this issue, and having seen this up close and personal, I can assure you that he is only interested in using the American military to accomplish the American people's goals. Whatever he does, that's his focus. And so look, I think it's perfectly said, at least right now, based on the information that we have. Vance is calling out what many Americans are starting to realize. The calls for war, the noise, the pressure, it's all political. It's the same DC uniparty that pushed us into Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria, and well, now they clearly want Trump to pull the trigger on Iran, but he's very obviously not falling for it. Donald Trump has made it very, very clear. He doesn't want a ceasefire. He doesn't want another UN resolution or another failed Obama-style fantasy Iran deal. He wants peace, a total end to the conflict.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here?
An end, a real end, not a ceasefire. An end.
So something that would be permanent.
Yeah, or giving up entirely. That's okay too.
Are you close there? Is that possible in the next 24
Why not? Certainly possible. Complete give up. That's possible. Yeah.
And so it's crazy because, you know, we're listening to the president's words and it just doesn't seem to line up with what a lot of his detractors are saying. And so we're kind of in this situation where it's, do you trust the president or do you trust a random person on X who doesn't actually know what's going on in the war room? Well, in my view, if we were to simply defer to the track record, I think J.D. Vance is right. Donald Trump has earned a lot of trust on these kinds of issues. It's hard to just turn on him because someone on X is suggesting that the president has done a complete 180. I'm simply not seeing it, at least not yet. What Donald Trump wants is an end to the conflict, not another nuclear endless war. These are two entirely different things. And now the question is, well, how does Trump intend to get there? Well, it's the typical art of the deal. The exact same strategy that he used with North Korea, for instance, to flex American strength through credible threat of US power that clearly the Iranian regime knows that they cannot compete with. You know, stuff like this.
According to Axios is reporting, President Trump will meet with his national security team in the White House Situation Room at 1 p.m. Eastern today to make decisions about U.S. policy toward the war between Israel and Iran. 3 U.S. officials have told Axios, and this is key, why this matters. The U.S. official said Trump is seriously considering joining the war and launching a U.S. strike against Iran's nuclear facilities, especially its underground uranium enrichment facility in Fordow. It is built into a mountain. They cannot get to it without our bunker-busting weapon. They need it.
Reports are now indicating that the president is now seriously considering a direct U.S. strike on Iranian nuclear sites, specifically the Fordow facility, which, as I understand, is buried inside a mountain. While taking on an operation like this would require a B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, dropping a bunker buster bomb, a lot of tongue twisters in this video, well, that's weapon capabilities that only the United States military possesses. And that right there alone sends a powerful message. Cooperate, or we will wipe your illegal program off the frickin' map. It's a far cry from what we saw from the Obama days, and even a little bit of the Biden days. Total capitulation and apologizing, total weakness, not to mention pallets of freaking cash, Amazon Prime delivered straight to the Iranian regime's front doorstep. The facts are that Iran agreed not to enrich uranium to this level, and so the president is saying, look, get in line or else. And I have to say, if there's one thing I agree with the president, it's the same point that he keeps reinforcing: the Iranian regime cannot get their hands on a nuke. Period. These are not the people that you can trust with nuclear weapons. And so what it seems like is President Trump is setting the stage for a final warning. Either Iran agrees to a complete, verifiable, no nukes ever agreement, and not just a piece of paper that was signed like we saw with Barack Obama, but a serious agreement with legitimate oversight and international cooperation. Either that or option 2. And option 2 kind of just implies something, right? And that, I think, is the genius of the Trump foreign policy angle. He's not the type of president that's just going to declare war. No, he's going to say, look, negotiate, come to the table, do as the global community demands if you want to avoid an American war. He gives the opponent a way out. And frankly, I think he gives them opportunities and options that they can't exactly deny or ignore. You know, it's like the illusion of an option. Obviously, Iran, the paper tiger regime, doesn't want to go to war with the United States of America. Iran can't even deal with Israel. Well, you could imagine the fear that the words U.S. Army would instill in them. Basically, Trump is flexing American muscle not to start a war, but to avoid a war. It's peace through strength, but that strategy being used genuinely, not the neocon version where they keep saying that, peace through strength, but what they really mean is endless war and hunting for oil abroad. I don't know, this doesn't scream warmonger to me. What I'm seeing are firm threats, strategic diplomacy, and trying to broker peace abroad through superior power. That's not warmongering. I think that's exactly what American leadership is supposed to look like. But of course, I could be wrong. Time will tell. That's just my take as of right now. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching. Of course, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you on the next one.